By adding one stroke at the bottom of a mu, we create the character bēn. When we place the same stroke in the middle of a mu, it transforms into wei. And when we add it to the top of a mu, it becomes mo. But do you know the different meanings of these three characters? Do you understand the logic behind their meanings? Follow me to find out. Welcome to Learn Chinese Mandarin with Peter. Today, we're gonna dive deeper into characters related to mu to learn more in an interesting way. In our last video, we explored how the character mu evolved from ancient pictographs. If you haven't seen it, click the link above to watch. We also learned character lin with more trees to represent woods, and the character sēng with more and more trees to represent the forest. Also the character xiu with a person leaning against the tree to represent rest. Now let's return to the character mu. Do you know the difference between these characters when the stroke is added at different positions? Take a look at this one. By adding a stroke at the bottom of a mu, where the roots of the tree are, we get the character bēn. This character signifies the foundation or origin of something. Obviously, roots are the foundation of trees, right? You can say 根本. 根 means roots, and 本 means the foundation or essence. So 根本 together means the fundamental essence or the very basis of something. Here we get the character wei. And when the stroke moves to the top of the tree, it forms the character mo, which means end or tip. For example, you can use it in phrase like mo wei. Wei means tail, mo means end. Mo wei means tail end. Or you can say 枝末. 枝 means branch. Mo means tip. 枝末 means the tip of a branch. It can also indicate a final stage of a period, such as 年末. 年 means year. 末 means end. 年末 means end of the year. As Chinese New Year is approaching, I'd like to take this opportunity to wish you all a Happy New Year in advance and extend my best regards to all of you, my friends. Thank you for your support, and don't forget to subscribe. Okay, back to our class. We've learned that the character bēn has a stroke at the bottom, representing the foundation, and the character mo has a stroke at the top, representing the end or tip. But what happens when the stroke is placed halfway up the tree? We get the character wei, which means not yet or have not, just like the stroke has not moved to the top end yet. For example, you can say 未完成 means unfinished. 完成 means finish. 未完成 means unfinished. Another example is 未来, which means future. 来 means come. So 未来 refers to the days that have not come yet, the future. Or you can think of it as the tree not having fruit yet. Because if the tree has some fruit, then we get another character, 果, which means fruit. You can say 水果, which means fruit. 水 means water. 果 means fruit. 水果 indicates juicy fruit. Wow, such juicy fruit. What are we gonna do with it? Of course, we are gonna pick some to have a taste. This brings us the character cài. The character cài visually represents a hand picking fruit from a tree. It means to pick or to gather. For example, in the phrase 采集, 采 means to pick, and 集 means to gather or collect. So 采集 together means to pick and gather. After we pick the fruit,
Day 2, Day 3, Day 4, 2,000 years later.
Just imagine the leaves have fallen and the roots have shrunk. To make full use of the tree, we will cut it down. But before we cut, we need a check. Just look at his eyes. This is how we get the character mu, which means eyes. When a man looks at the wood, we get the character xiāng, which means observe as a verb. For example, you can say 相面, which means to observe someone's face to predict the future. In traditional Chinese culture, 相面 is a practice where a person's facial features are analyzed to predict their future or understand their personality. This practice has been passed down through generations and is still popular in some regions. 相 could also mean outlook as a noun. For example, you can say 面相, which refers to the outlook of your face. After checking, we cut the branches and the roots. Then we get the character 干, which means the trunk, as in 树干. 树 means the tree. 树干 means the trunk of the tree. Or you can read it as 干 as an adjective, which means dry. Because as you can see, the leaves have fallen and the roots have shrunk, leaving no water in the wood. So 干 represents dry as an adjective. For example, you can say 干枯, which means dried up or withered. Or you can read it as 干as a verb. It means to do. For example, you can say 干活, which means to work or do a task. It also means to make. So now let's use this wood to make something. Here we just made a bed. This is the character 床, which represents a bed. You can see that 床 has the radical 广, which represents shelter. We will explore further for this interesting radical later in another episode. The mu below indicates that the bed is made of wood, so you get the character 床, meaning bed. For example, you can say 床头, which means the head of the bed. 头 means head. Similarly, 床尾 means the end of the bed. 尾 means tail end. We also made a cabinet. Just look at the picture. This is the character 柜, which represents a cabinet. You can say 碗柜, the cabinet to put the bowls. 碗 means bowls. 衣柜, the cabinet to put the clothes. 衣 means clothes. Here, we just made a chessboard. They are intersecting lines and chess pieces. And this is the character 棋, which represents chess or board game. For example, you can say 围棋, which means go. 围 means encircle, referring to the strategy of surrounding the opponent's pieces. Of course, we can make more, such as a fence to enclose some livestock, just like this. This brings us the character 栏, which means a fence. For example, you can say 围栏, which means enclosure or fence. 围 means to surround. So just remember that characters with the wood radical are usually related to wood or trees. Here are some more examples. Shān represents cedar, with 3 strokes representing needle-like leaves. Liu represents willow, shaped like a willow tree. Sōng represents pine tree, with the right side showing the shape of a pine tree. And there are many more characters related to wood. Just keep exploring, and you will discover the fascinating world of Chinese characters. Speaking of wood, Mu is also one of the 5 elements in Chinese philosophy, which are Jin, Mu, Shui, Huo, Tu. 2025 is the year of wood. Mu represents vitality and prosperity. I wish everyone a year full of growth and flourishing. Now let's take a closer look at how these 5 elements interact with each other. The 5 elements generate and overcome each other in a cycle known as 五行相生, 五行相克. The concept of generating describes how each of the 5 elements promotes the creation of another element. The relations are as follows. Wood generates fire because wood can be burned to create fire. Fire generates earth because fire leaves behind ash, which becomes part of the earth. Earth generates metal because metals are extracted from the earth. Metal generates water because metal can condense water droplets when it cools. Water generates wood because water nourishes plants, helping them grow. The concept of overcoming describes how each element can inhabit or control another element. The relationships are as follows. Wood overcomes earth because tree roots can penetrate and break through the earth. Earth overcomes water because earth can absorb and block the flow of water. Water overcomes fire because water can extinguish fire. Fire overcomes metal because fire can melt metal. Metal overcomes wood because metal tools can cut down trees. The theory of 5 elements is widely applied in traditional Chinese medicine, FengShui, and astrology. For example, in traditional Chinese medicine, the 5 elements theory is used to explain the relationships between the body's organs and how to achieve balance and health by regulating these elements. In FengShui, the theory is used to arrange and adjust the environment to achieve harmony and balance. If you are interested, we can have a separate lesson to explain this in more details. Or we can explore further for characters with the fire radical, water radical, earth radical, and metal radical to learn more related characters in a fun way. If you like this video, please subscribe, hit the like button, and share. What do you want to learn next? Leave your comments down below. See you next time.